What's up, YouTube? It's your boys of Team Plays for Days. Corey, what up, though?
It's Gucci.
We got our boy Corey with the top 8 with the Sun Dragons, y'all. Sun Dragons in this current meta right now. Like,
It's awkward, but it works.
nobody was expecting this shit, right?
Nah, not really.
Except for you.
Well, there was one round I played against another Sun Dragon player, and
There was another one?
yeah, well, he wasn't playing this version. He was playing the size 2 rush,
I guess he's welcome back.
and I was like, well, it was a lot easier for me to do shit than him because he couldn't get over my Dios. But we'll get to that in a minute.
Cool. So hit him with it.
All right. So, as I just said, we played Sun Dragons here in Atlanta. Finally broke the curse. Got top 8 here.
Yes.
What, the third year trying? It was pretty fun deck. I've loved this deck since it came out, but I want it to be a little bit better. But we'll get into all the juicy goodness in a second. I'll start with an extra flag. Play one Lost World flag because Red Thunder Emperor Awakens is the easiest pickup card. It's like, all right, if I know I can go into other shit, I'll just go get it later.
It's
Use
be
my
lost.
language. Played it at one. I never used it the whole tournament. I'm like, if it's in drop, it's in drop. Don't really want to go into it, but it's a nice tech to have just in case you want to do something extra. Next, we'll get into the buddy. Obviously, we play 4. Super Sun Deity Dragon Dios. MVP of the deck, pretty much. You sit on him forever. You
So
can
shiny.
sit on him forever if you got the next setup. He's 3 gauge to call, and you sack as many monsters as you can on board. It's 1 or more. So essentially, you can get 3, which I've done multiple times. I'll show you the 3 in a second. His first ability is at the beginning of each player's attack phase, you can destroy or bounce 1 monster on your opponent's, all monsters on your opponent's center.
Chaos.
So it's weird against the Gear God matchup because they usually always Chaos Drain the other monster there, but it's 1 Chaos Drain out of the way. And then if they have the Gear God that can't Chaos Drain, 1,000, you get them both. So it's a win-win. Love this card. He the GOAT. Next thing, we'll get into our size 2, the secondary MVP of the deck. We play Sun Deity Fragment Ball Dragon.
The buddy rares.
Yeah, I'll go into both of them since I gotta do aesthetics. And then we play 3 style of impact ball dragons. The first one, he searches for any ball select. I can't stress how important that is enough. He can search for the size 3, size 0, and the impact monster. It's worth it in the end if you do it right. This one searches for both of them equally have dual purposes. This one gives you either 3 gauge or an item. So you search for a Sun Dragon item, which you usually search for the style of Super Sun Dragon, or you gain 3 gauge just so you can explode with your impact monsters.
Seems good.
Next, we play the weird one of tech. It's only just in case you need that extra attack and your opponent. Like, this is essentially for my Magic World matchups if they ever show up again. I
Yeah,
remember
Magic World died.
Team League, they were everywhere. I don't know why.
Plague.
It was Plague,
Yes.
Wizard Rush deck, and then I saw 172 Pillars during Team League. And I was like, why are you guys still playing it? But hey, they die hard Magic World fans. This guy, he reduces his size by 2 if I have a size 3 Sun Dragon on board. And then his skill is all Sun Dragon monsters on my board can be destroyed or bounced by my opponent's card effects.
Super
And
strong.
He's a quick 2K beater, so, well, not 2K, 4K beater with 2 crits. Next, we play 2 Flare Fangs. I'm thinking about opening up to 3, but 2 is kind of the perfect number for it right now. When he enters, if there's another Sun Dragon, you gauge and draw. Some people try to get around it by trying to pop it or something like that, so usually I'll call 2 monsters before I use this, but it is what it is. Next, we play the GOAT Flare Fang.
Wait, I
Royal
thought
Dragon.
Ball Soleil was the GOAT.
Nah, the GOAT Flare Fang.
Oh, the
Different.
GOAT Flare Fang. Gotcha. Yeah.
Different tiers to this shit.
Gotcha.
So this one reduces the size by 1 if you have a size 3 Sun Dragon on board. Important because you can't let someone cheat you out by playing a 2 and another 1. And then if a size 2 or greater Sun Dragon enters your board, you gauge and draw once during the main phase, once during the final phase.
Twice?
Almost forgot that. Yeah.
That's so stupid.
Always pay attention. Next, we play the secondary ball select. Well, not really secondary. It's just an easy way to cheese off certain cards. This little homie, at the end of the battle, he disappears and goes into the soul of a Sun Dragon on the board. And then when you attack with the Sun Dragon, it gives you a gauge and a life. So ball select, imagine, he literally sets up pretty much every impact play you got in the deck. So usually I'll have the size 3 in hand and I'll go search this out because you have the size 3 and impact monster, or you can go get the impact monster later. You don't really need to rush into the impact monster because if you do, you'll probably lose. So this guy comes in handy, gives you life gain, and then they stack. And then when the impact monster comes out, the effect re-triggers. So 2 gauge, 2 life if you got them both in there. Gauge of life if you do it once. Still pretty good combo.
Seems good.
Next thing we got, we're going to the impact monsters.
Already? That was all the monsters?
Yeah, it's all the monsters.
Huh.
Next, you play 2 Style of Daybreak. At first, I started playing it at 4, but I was like, it comes way too cloggly, way too quick. So, this guy, he's a 10-3-10.
This card's nuts.
Big as, excuse my language, big as shit. He deserves it. He's big as shit. When he comes out, you have to pay 3 gauge and put him on top of a Ball Dragon or a Ball Slay. It's important. Ball Dragon or Ball Slay. Not a regular Sun Dragon, and you can also sack him off of the 0. So remember that. When he attacks, if you have an item release conditions, so you can also use him with Ground Thieves, his attack can be nullified. And then if you link with the Sun Dragon item, he burns you opponent for 5, and then they can't reduce the damage. So it's essentially, with the item, it's a link for 5, burn for 5. Essentially, you can go for game on your second turn. Next, we play 1 Ball Dragon, Ball Blaster, Grand Bolt.
You said Ball Buster.
Yeah, I'm so. My favorite card in the deck is Ball Shine Buster. That's been saying it all day. Ball Grand Bolt is weird. He's a late game if you need to rush and like you have no other options, or you just want that extra impact call. He's good if you're 5 or less. You pay 2 gauge, you can restand him, and then you can also use the item to call him from drop zone, since it just allows you to call impact monster. But we'll get into the items next because this is the last impact monster. Next, you run 4 Dragon Force, Style of Super Sun Dragon.
Busted as hell.
This is a situational card, but at the same time, it's the bread and butter of the deck. It makes everything flow smoothly as long as you got it out. First off, it can't be destroyed or bounce to your opponent's hand. Bounce to your hand, excuse me. Release condition is size 3 monster with Ball Slay in its name. So, you can't cheese it out by just calling a Ball Dragon. You can't cheese it out by calling a 0. It's got to be a size 3. His main skill during the final phase, you can restand this guy. So it's already got double attack. And he restands during the final phase, and you can call an impact monster from your drop zone or hand by paying his call cost. The reason this effect is so important, it gets you 1 extra impact call. So if you're comboing it right, you can impact call 3 to 4 times.
That's a lot.
So I usually never attack with this thing. I always wait for the final phase so he keeps his double attack. So therefore, when you go into the next card that I'm going to show you guys, the spell, Into the Future, you just sack the soul out and restand the impact monster. Usually that's always what you do it for, unless you got some defense that you can't get over, or your opponents don't play restanders, then you can use Into the Future to arrest one of their cards.
Into the Future's busted. What is it, 20, 25 a pop?
Could be more.
Yeah. And it's worth it.
Either way. The
Card's
first skill,
stupid strong.
The first skill, it gives a card on your field a crit. I've never seen a situation where I wanted to do the crit.
I've never known anybody to do that.
The link for 5, burn for 5. It's so beautiful. Arresting any one thing you think that's going to try and kill you that turn, it's always worth it. And then plus it gives you a draw. Like what card do you know that you don't like that gives you a draw?
That's true.
Next we'll go into the only main shield in the deck. Super Sun Dragon Shield. Play it at 4 is arguably the best field for this deck, as long as you got Dios or the item out. Essentially, if you have Dios out, all 3 of the skills are active. Nullifies an attack. You draw a card if you got Sun Dragon. You gain engage if you have a Neo Dragon, and you gain a life if you have a Black Dragon. For the item, you only get the Sun Dragon and the Black Dragon part, so you draw and gain a life, which isn't bad, but you want all 3 so you can kind of cheese into this play. If you draw a Drago Trap off of it, it does so much damage to you. Pretty much tells them to pass the turn.
It's a trap.
So multiple times during the tournament, I shielded, drew a card, drew into the Drago Trap, and since we have this multiple counters per attack chain thing now, all right, shield, draw a Drago Trap, cast a Drago Trap, pretty much lock half their board, and we proceed to punch them in the face.
Yeah.
Next thing we got is The MVP. Ball Shine Buster.
His favorite.
I love this card because I'll never usually get the first skill off because nobody really calls Monster to center anymore. I don't know any close center decks besides Lynx, but I don't really see too many Link players. It's interesting. But it destroys one monster on your opponent's center. And then if you have a Boss Lay on board, it destroys one card. So it gets over your matchups really easily. You play this when they go for their search so they don't have a response. Play this anything that needs an item to win the deck. Or anything that just needs that one card to stay on board for too long. Fuck that card. Excuse my language.
This guy.
Next, we got this really old card, but it works wonders. Dragonic Force Field.
Oh, that.
Played at 3.
card.
It almost got put to 4, but the 2 gauge, sometimes you just can't pay it. But
This card is old as dirt. Drum's still on there.
yeah, Drum and Rapier. Shows
Oh,
y'all
yeah,
what
I
it
forgot he was even a card.
is. So, Dragonic Force Field. Pay 2 gauge, counter speed. For this turn, monsters on your left and right can't be destroyed. They can be bounced, but again, not too many people play bounce. And then if you need to, you just call the size 2 that becomes a 0. It's self-explanatory why you play this. Dios reduces all damage by 2, so it's like, all right, attack the Dios, left and right can't be destroyed now. Now they gotta reduce all their damage by 2. Next, you play 3 of the Sun Deity's Buddy.
Good card.
Kind of hard to explain why not to play this. It gives you 2 gauge.
Don't explain it.
Just
Yeah, right.
because you got a Sun Dragon on board. So even if you just got any one Sun Dragon, you get 2 gauge. And if you have a Boss Lay on board, you gain 2 life and draw a card. The life gain for this deck is ridiculous if you play it right.
Everything's about life gain now.
Next, we play this at 2. Vestus Ball. This is another piece to the combo. It's a continuously impact call as many times as you can. You only play it once per turn, but you gain 2 gauge. You only play this during your final phase. So you gain 2 gauge, and then if you call an impact monster off of this skill, you draw 2 cards as well. So it pretty much recycles what the 2 cards you just used. So gain 2 gauge, call impact monster, replace the 2 cards you just used.
Good cards.
So easy. Next, we play 2 Warlord Sword Release.
This
Again,
is what, $30?
Yeah.
This card's expensive as hell.
Again, I keep thinking about playing it more, but it's like finding the space. And then if you brick, this card is kind of dead. So I think 2 is a perfect number. And then even if I don't need it, I can charge it and then play the next card. Red Thunder Emperor Awakens. So,
Anybody else notice the rarity of this man's deck?
yeah, just very
Jesus.
beautiful. Semi-max rare. I think I'm missing like
Semi-max.
3 cards. Well, technically I'm missing the 3 Buddy Rares, but I don't like the orange Buddy Rares for the style of
does?
impact. It matches. But Warlord Sword Release draws 1 card for each different world on board. So with just Ball Soleil and item on board, you draw 3. If you play a Lost World monster, you draw 4. If you want to tech in Omnilord, you can draw more if you like. But I personally like the quick draw 3. It's usually doesn't hurt too much, or you draw into some pretty amazing stuff. Red Thunder Emperor Awakens, sauce because you can pick up any 1 card from drop zone and you gain engage and gain a life. It's very simple. You always usually have 3 different worlds in drop zone for it. If you can somehow get 6, depending on your build that you play, you get the extra draw, but we don't use it for the extra draw. We use it to pick up that 1 card you can use to fuck your opponent over.
Lost World.
Well, actually, I'd never use this to pick up Lost World. Not
Oh, well,
once.
you said you never went into it at all. though,
I
did you?
never.
It's because he plays 1, people. He's playing the game wrong. But that's
Nah,
okay. He did good.
It's like I never saw a point where my Lost deck was better than my Boss Slay. Like I lost in top 8 because I bricked, but that's because if I would have got the item or the impact, game 2, if I would have got the item, I would have won. Game 3, if I would have got the size 3, I would have won. It's all set in stone.
Understandable. It's card games.
Again, if I would have went to the Lost deck, which I'll get into in a minute, I probably would have lost most of my stuff, and I couldn't get most of it back because, again, it was still in the deck, and I couldn't draw out most of my stuff. So, again, I never see myself going into Lost World, but it's a nice tech to just have at 1 because it doesn't take up too much space, and if you don't like it, you just side it out. It gives you an easy side target.
Fair enough. Seems good.
Next, we'll go talk about this sideboard real quick. It's kind of quick. Few one-ups. You play 1 Jackknife Ground Thieves.
Woo!
You sacrifice release conditions. You have to get rid of 1 Dragon Force, I believe. That's a Star Dragon World. And your life has to be 5 or less. Yeah, 5 or less. So you get rid of Gold Ritter or Star Dragon World Dragon Force.
This card's beautiful.
This card's treated as Jackknife Gold Ritter on board. That's not really why you play it, but hey, if you want to tech in some Jackknife cards, do what you got to. But his main skill is reduces all damage by 2, and then that quadruple attack and penetrate is just
Look at that.
so lovely.
Quadruple penetrate. Oh,
And of course, one of you gotta get him SP. Like, it's the one card in your deck. You just gotta make it pretty.
My
So
favorite
I was
SP.
wishing Lost World had SP, but
we'll get there.
eventually.
We'll get there.
Next, sideboard 1 extra into the future.
Fair.
Just in case, 2 reasons. If you think your opponent play a lot of rest spells, add this in. Or you want to counter back, like if you wrestling, I'm wrestling too. So we gonna bully each other. It's mutual.
Respect.
Next, this is also a really weird card to find, but Dragon Force Cancel. This
The heck is it?
is you only play it if you have a Dragon Force on your board. So essentially, Dragon World only. You pay 1 gauge, nullify all abilities of monsters on your opponent's field.
Oh, that's nuts, actually.
It was set up mostly for the 5th Omni matchup, or I want to say the Lynx, but most people in Link Dragons, they're playing the item that says all my stuff can be nullified. So this was for the 5th Omni matchup, or anything that had counter abilities that just felt really annoying. So I want to say, since this isn't counter speed, it's kind of not that much worth it. But if you catch your opponent slipping and they don't respond to it, you just got a free board life. So let's keep it moving.
Cool.
Next, we got 2 obstructs.
Oh, wait a minute. Only one of these is foiled.
Hey,
Ooh, easy.
don't worry about it.
No, I'm worried about it. You should let me have that so I can conclude
You got $100.
Shit. The nonsense. $100 for this foil. Kind of
Anyways,
sense.
despite the nonsense, this card is the biggest double-edged sword in the game.
True. But it's the
It's-
best card in the game.
If you have your setup, this card is worth it. If you do not have your setup, you kind of just guaranteed yourself the L. You can't draw on your opponent's turn and your turn. So it's like 2 times the sauce that you lose out on. So if you got anything that spams, it's like, all right, I'm going to draw a bunch of cards during my opponent's turn and then try to set up and draw a little more. This hinders it. But if you got your setup, play your loud. Play obstruct. Do what you got to do.
Yep.
But I personally only sided them probably 2 or 3 times. It wasn't 100% worth it for me, but when I did actually use it, it was worth it. So I give it a spot in my deck at 2. No more, no less.
Cool.
Next, got 2 more Dragon Guards. This is another card that most people don't really know about.
What is this? Well, I know what this is, but
You
in
only
this?
you only can play it when they attacking a monster on your board, which they usually always will attack Ball Slay. Counter speed, change the attack target to myself. I draw a card. Ball Slay reduces all damage by 2.
Seems good.
Change the target, and I get an extra draw. So
Okay.
let's keep
okay.
it moving. Lastly, for the sideboard is 2 Loud Voices. Everyone knows Loud Voices.
It's
the
amazing.
GOAT MVP card for Thunder and Pure Fangs, and then the guy hits a 1. So
Yep, so now Dragon Road abuses it.
hell yes.
Abuses the hell out
So
of this.
this card, as many cards as you can in your hand, and reduce your opponent's board in multiples of 3 and 1 crit. So it's earned its spot. It's been earned its spot.
Yeah, amazing card.
Next, I mean, we can get into the Lost deck, but everyone
just,
pretty much plays the
Just
same.
do it quick.
Oh, if you don't know what it is, you can look it up.
This man didn't even use
I
the
I never used it, but if I was going to use it, I would like to get to this or
Vanity.
one other card quick. Vanity Husk Destroyer can be popped by your opponent's card effects, and then it pops or bounces one of your opponent's cards. Next, I played 3 of this counterattack, double attack, soul. He just does the most.
Yeah, Mr. Keyword.
Penetrate, double attack, soul guard, counterattack. It does the most.
Everything. He's almost as bad as God Haze.
Next, these gear god stats on these cards was what copy. Next, we played 3 of this guy, nullify 1 card on your opponent's field, blow it up. After that, play 2 of this guy, 5 crit penetrate. Who doesn't love 5 crit penetrate?
Right, 5 crits, amazing.
Next, we played 2 of the impacts.
Ooh.
Opponent at 5, the on 5. Getting them down to 5 isn't that hard. Link for 5, burn for 5. It should be at 2. No higher. Lastly, well, not lastly. To start the spells, I play 4 of the set spell. If I do get into it, I want to draw only this card. I don't care. If I can get rid of everything else in this Lost deck and just keep this card and main it, I would play this at 4 in every deck.
This card.
Your opponent has to pay
stacks.
1 life. Your opponent has an option to pay 1 life when they attack every time. And if they do not pay the life, it nullifies the attack. If I play 4 of them, you got to pay 4 life to get 1 attack through, which is amazing.
Yes.
And the best for this deck because, all right, you're paying all this life, I can burn you to death. It's simple. But, again, I never went to my lost deck because I saw no point for it. Next, Dimension Lifestream. Again, it helps either reset your opponent to 10 or you gain 10 life. I don't see why you wouldn't play it.
Right. Free life.
Next, 3 Dimension Jammings.
'Cause
Counter
why not?
speed. Discard 2 cards. Do I need to say more?
Discard 2 cards. Counter speed.
That's pretty bad. But
God punks love this card.
we also found out if your opponent does not have 2 cards in hand, so if they're able to counter and play one of the 2 cards in their hand,
They don't pitch.
you do not have to discard the cards.
Yeah.
So
It does say 2 cards specifically. It does not say up to.
it's a win-lose situation, but you also force your opponent to get a card out. So either way, you got 1.
Right.
Not the way you wanted it, but hey, it is what it is. Also, this next card is another card. If we could main them in the main deck, I would definitely play because it's way too busted. Call any 1 monster from drop zone.
I love this card.
And if it said Dimension Dragon, I'd be like, it's not that good.
It wouldn't be good like that way.
It said any 1 monster from drop zone. By paying its call cost, and for this turn, give it 2 crits.
What is call cost?
With the deck, it generates so much gauge. You don't really have to worry about paying call costs. The only thing you gotta worry about is having that monster or 2 on board, so that way Boss Slay can have soul.
Fair.
So usually, when I was playtesting the Lost deck just for shits and giggles, I usually always call back out the Impact monster. Like I would either have the 0 out on board, or I would have the size 3, call the Impact monster out, and then proceed to swing, and then go to final phase and call another one. So this is nasty. It gets 2 crits. The Impact monster becomes a 5 crit. The item's already 2 crit. So that's 7 damage you can't nullify. And then you're also being burned for 5. So 12 damage off 1 attack. Just amazing. Lastly, we got this.
This
nullifying attack.
stupid card. This card's nuts.
It's like, what was it, Mirror Force back in the day?
Mirror Force be like 10 times stronger.
So it's like, all right, you attack me, I'm going to spin it back to you. Or is what's it called?
Magic Cylinder.
Magic Cylinder.
There we go.
Definitely like Magic Cylinder.
We used to be Yu-Gi-Oh players, guys.
Barely. So, essentially, that's the deck.
Yeah.
You got any questions, just let them loose. We'll do what we can to answer them.
Yep. How was your matches?
My matches were very interesting. I can't say they were all bad, but they all were really back and forth. It's like if I got my setup, it's pretty much a guaranteed win. If they got set up quicker than I could, I had to grind it out, but I still could get there. I want to say my hardest matchup was the mobile area team deck.
Whew, MATs.
We went in the timing round. It was last round before they got to top 8.
Oh, yeah, I remember this match. Tell him about it.
We went in the timing round, and he was turn 0, I was 1, he was 2, I was 3. And it came all the way down to my turn, and I had, the luck of the top deck. It was perfect. We were both countering each other pretty much perfectly, and then he went into Lost World and kind of lost out on half of his items, so he couldn't really do as many spam combos with Lost World, but he looped it pretty well. And I give him his props, he did pretty well, but off of the combos I was showing with the Drago Traps and the Super Sun Deity Dragon Shield, it was too much, and I just went into the Impact Monster, had the Into the Future, and it was just game from there.
Yeah, it was pretty nutty.
Other than that, I want to say Electro Deities was also pretty bad. I played them round 2, and I just bricked against them. I know I can beat them because, again, the burn damage is pretty easy to get off. You know, I can burn for 10, 15 in a turn if I wanted to. But again, that's only if you actually got all the combos. What else was there? I want to say Electro Deities and Matt were the most 2 we saw in the tournament, but other than that, if you know how to play, you got plays for days.
It's like it's our name or something.
It's just the nature of the beast, you know. That's the profile. Just shoot us with some questions if you got it.
Yep. It's your boys, the Team Plays for Days. We got Corey with the top 8. We'll holler, y'all.